Ashley Nicole Black.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to General Meeting with Becky Sloviter. I am honored to have you as not just one of my first guests, but we met originally in a general meeting.
Mhm.
I was remembering back to, and you'll have to check me on this, but I think I was with the Lonely Island guys at the time. You were with Samantha B.
Mhm.
And your agent called, you were coming into LA during maybe a hiatus week or something
I
like
think
that,
it was always the Emmys.
right? Of
And
course.
this is so funny to think now because it's not that long ago, but everything's completely different. Whenever I would come in town, whether it was like Emmys, visit my family, whatever, I would schedule a bunch of meetings because you had to do them in
Yes,
person.
always.
Now it's like, who cares? If I was in New York, I
Yeah.
would do all these meetings on Zoom. Who cares? But back then it was like there were 2 weeks out of every year that I would do like 14 general meetings.
And it was like back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
You're driving all over LA.
Mhm.
Maybe it's convenient, but maybe
No.
you're going from Santa Monica to Silver Lake back to West Hollywood.
And I grew up here, so I'm
Right.
driving my car from college, like my little beat down Honda Accord that I left here. That's what I'm driving around town.
I was trying to remember what was the name of that place because the Lonely Island's offices were on Cahuenga and Hollywood, and I would meet people a lot at, I think it was called Mama Shelter, and I
Mhm.
think it's still there on like Wilcox
Yeah.
and Selma. Okay. And so we met, and I was such a fan of Samantha Bee's show, and I immediately like, you're just magic. Like everyone who meets you like sees it right away. But I was like, how can I work with her?
Not everyone. I was like, "Oh my god, I had a good general." Like, because I think especially that was early career for me,
Yeah,
so
that
I
was
was
2017. Yeah.
but it was like I was going into everyone being like, "This is a job interview for the rest of my life," and it was just always like,
Yes.
"What did your father do for a living?" And then I would leave and like not have connected at all, and we just like had a drink, and it was
Yep.
like going out with a girlfriend. And I was like,
Totally.
"Oh my gosh, it could be that!" Like it truly was like a change in my career that I was like, "Oh, the goal is not to like convince this person that I'm the most responsible girl." It's like
Never related
just
to more to a sentence in my
yeah, it's
life.
like, "Oh, see if you make a connection," and I was not going into it with that mentality previously, so truly it
Totally.
was like, this was my first good general
Oh, I
meeting.
love hearing this. It's so funny. This now comes up in almost every episode that I didn't have a sense that general meetings were not like a super fun hang for everybody because I love them. And everyone has the stories that you have. I'm so glad that that was like a turning of the corner. It's funny because knowing I was going to start this and knowing I was going to have to define it a bit, we were talking about how it's a little bit like a first date
Mhm.
mixed with a job interview, but not stressful. But again, I'm like, oh, but maybe stressful.
It's definitely stressful
Yeah.
early career because early
Yeah,
career, you're like, "This could be my big break," about
totally.
everything that happens.
And even the buildup, I don't know if your agent or your manager was sort of giving you the, okay, this is what this person's working on. And there is a bit of a pressure and like, you better put your best foot forward in that job interview way that is, it's such an artificial standard because really we were having a drink. I really liked you. You're so funny. You're so smart. And you also, and this is a good segue, you have such an interesting background. Okay, so born and raised in LA.
Mhm.
You
One
were
of the few in the
getting
crowd.
Yes, exactly, exactly, it's a good thing. Um, where did you do your undergrad?
UC Santa Cruz.
Okay, and then Northwestern
Mhm.
for your master's and PhD?
Mhm.
Okay, so you are going on your, what, 4th year of your PhD when are you doing Second City at the same time?
Yes. So I
Okay.
started doing Second City pretty early into my master's. Back up one more step. I
Okay.
go to do my master's. I arrive on the first day. I was like, "Oh, I hate this."
Is
I
there anything worse?
I hated it, but like again, when you're that young, you're like every single thing is like this is what life is going to be like. But then it's like, but I'm sure everything is this way, so I must just be bad. And so
Mhm.
I wasn't enjoying it at all. My parents bought me a class at Second City for Christmas, and
Just having an inkling that maybe this could be something cool for you, or did you grow up
yeah, yeah,
acting,
yeah, yeah.
performing?
I was always an actor growing up. I had done improv in high school. Actually, we had comedy sports at our high school.
Mm,
And I went to this
awesome.
like weird high school program where you could take a major. So I was a musical theater major in high school, but I had always wanted to be an actor like from a baby, like as long as I could remember. And my parents would always be like, look at these lawyers on TV. You could be a lawyer. And I'd be like, kiss boys on TV. It was like all I ever wanted to do. So when I was in grad school and I wasn't super happy there, that was like something they knew that would be like a good hobby for me to.
But they're thinking it's a hobby. You're
Yeah.
enrolled in a multi-year PhD program at this point at like one of the best schools in the country.
And by the way, being successful. And I
Yeah.
think like, again, when you're young, you're like, oh, if I'm good at it. And I think especially as a Black woman, it's like,
Yeah.
if I'm good at this and there's not enough Black women professors, then I have to do it. Like I owe it to the world to do this thing. And of course, my family is bragging, like, she's getting a PhD, blah, blah, blah. And so I stuck with it for I knew day one it wasn't for me. And I stuck with it for so long.
Yep.
And this joke even made it into Bad Monkeys. I say, like, God wouldn't have to yell at you if you would listen. And so it just got more and more and more uncomfortable. Like, the longer you stay where you're not supposed to be, it's just going to get more uncomfortable. So I'm like doing Second City classes, teaching comedy, teaching at Northwestern. So like doing a show in a bar till 2 a.m., getting up and teaching a class at 8 a.m. hungover at Northwestern the next morning. I am also, mind you, the same age as my students because I went
Right.
straight from undergrad to my master's. So like the number of times a student would walk in the classroom and be like, do you know who the professor is?
You
Like,
can be like, I sure do.
yeah, what up, bro?
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the Oprah adage, the whisper that becomes the scream. It's so true. And also, you have to arrive at it when you're ready.
Yeah.
Right? So you're doing Second City. Did you also do cruise ship?
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. Can you say more about that? But also don't let me take you out of order if I've skipped over something.
Well, yeah, after I dropped out of my PhD program to do comedy, a sentence I think I'm the only person on earth who can say. You know what? It's so weird. It was a very hard decision to make.
Yeah.
And then once I made it, I didn't feel an ounce of shame
Yep.
about it.
Never
And
looked back.
it wasn't about shame for me. It was about like stability. Like I thought, there's no world in which I would be able to be an actor. Like there's no world in which I would be able to like make a living that way. And so teaching, I'll like be in the world and sort of doing what I love and have stability. And then once you're in that world long enough, you realize that like professors are as broke as out of work actors. And so I was like, oh, if I'm going to be broke either way, I'm going to be happy and broke. And once I figured that out, I think the stability idea was the only thing keeping me there. So once that
Yeah.
was no longer true,
Yes.
I
That
was,
illusion has been shattered. So great.
yeah.
I'm going to go for it. So then
So then I worked on a cruise ship.
Okay. But this is a thing that I think a lot of people, this is a bit of a gateway, right?
Yeah.
Is it Second City
Second City.
specific?
So Second City had a contract with Norwegian Cruise Lines
Okay.
for you to go like live and work on a cruise ship. The funniest thing is passengers would be like, so where do you sleep? And it's like, we're in the middle of the ocean. Where do you think? So we would do like 15 shows a week or whatever, which sounds like a lot, but it's not when you literally live there.
Yeah.
So you do like 2 shows a night
Yep.
and like one matinee of a murder mystery on the weekends. This will tell you like what period in time this was, a very different time than now. So this murder mystery had like multiple endings depending on who the audience voted that they thought was the murderer.
Okay.
And I was playing the character who was obviously the murderer and the person who the audience should vote for most of the time. And so that's the track you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And then the other ones, it's like maybe a few times they'll vote for this guy, you rehearse a little bit. And then there are some that are so no one's ever voted for this, so you literally never rehearse them.
Oh my
They're
God.
just like in a binder somewhere.
Okay.
Well, it was the Obama years. Because I was a Black woman, the audience never voted for me.
They were like, that would not, okay, this is
This
bad
is not
luck.
okay.
It can't possibly be
So we
her.
literally just be standing there in silence every time, like, really, guys? And
Oh my
all the white people in the room sitting on their hands, like, I know the right answer. It's not to do this. So they were running backstage, flipping
Anyone
through a binder.
but
They
her.
voted for the dog.
Oh my God. Okay, that's amazing. What year was this?
What year was it? I'm so bad at years.
No problem. But it was the good years.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was the before times. And how long were you on there? 5 months?
So you're supposed to be on there 4 months.
Okay.
And I booked my first pilot off a self-tape, like the world's first self-tape. I still had like a camera that wasn't a phone. Like
Right.
that's how long ago it was. Because I was in the middle of the ocean. So
Sure.
a self-tape was, so I booked a pilot and I asked, like, can I get off the boat? We were going to be in Barbados. It was also like they were debating whether or not to hire me. And the weird thing of like, I live on a boat
Yeah.
was like, 3 days from now, we're going to be in Barbados. I can get off the boat there. Otherwise, I can't get off for like 14 days or
Oh my
whatever it
God.
was. Right. And so I'm like, you actually have to make this decision right now,
Yeah.
or it's not going to happen. And so they did at the last minute, cut to me like running through an airport. I had one of the guys who worked on the ship who was like a local talking me through the airport to get me on the, because I had to buy a one-way ticket because the ticket back would have to be to wherever
Yes.
but so it was like it was just
It was a whole fucking
it
thing.
was a whole thing, and
Yeah.
I had to, like, learn the lines on the plane, arrive, get to my parents' house, sleep, wake up the next morning, and walk into a table read. Um,
Oh my God.
Also, shout out to I do not know this man's name, again because I got cast over tape. So, I show up to this table read, my first pilot, my first table read, like, my first everything,
Yeah.
literally coming off of doing sketch comedy on a cruise ship, and everyone's like, "Oh, hello, hello, hello," and I'm thinking, made it. Hollywood. I'm a regular in a pilot.
I've
And this man
arrived.
goes to hug me, and I'm like, I don't know him. It's a little presumptuous, but he hugs me. And as he pulls me in, he goes, they fired the last two girls. You need to play it up big. Don't play it small. And if having read the script, it looked like it should be played small. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
on camera, you would play it small, but in a table read,
Yep.
those little things don't read, which I didn't know at the time.
Totally.
And so thank God to him, I was like, "Oh, okay, so pivot on a dime in the
Yep.
table read, I'm playing it big, they're laughing." I kept the job. I also didn't know you could get fired at a table read. I've since learned you can get fired at any
At
point in the
any
process.
time. Don't ever think you're safe. I have to say, being an actor, it's really hard.
Yeah,
And to be able to pivot on a dime and just be dropped into such a new, I mean, talk about like dropped in the deep end, but you're going to figure out how to swim.
yeah.
Like, period, end of story. That's who you are. And I think that's propelled you forward. So you pivot, it goes well. Does that show then go?
It didn't go, and this is, like, the classic Hollywood. It's kind of good that this was my first experience because it,
Yeah.
like, taught me the business. Um, so I get permission to get off the cruise ship, go shoot this pilot. It's of course, I'm, like, very nervous. I don't know anything. I've never done anything. I parked in a producer's parking spot, and some PA had to come running after me, and I'm like,
Did
"Oh my
anyone
god."
drive this car?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Or you just wanna, like, crawl under the table.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know anything. Rosie Perez was in that pilot, and she like walked in and like a white person's doing my hair, and she goes, "Nope, you're using my hairdresser." Like it was
Oh,
just like
love.
it was great. It
Love.
was a great first experience.
Yeah.
Um, I was playing a child. So I think I'm 28 at the time, and I was playing a high school student.
Okay.
So it was
Well, like, you look
also
young, like, it can I mean, this is like Vince Vaughn and Swingers a little bit, but
so we shoot it, it goes great. It was the first pilot they shot that year, so it's like the network's super excited about it.
Yep.
And then it goes all the way up until like the last possible day, and they don't pick it up because they're picking up another show. So it was like down to these two shows, and
Yep.
they picked up the other show.
Yeah.
And then that show didn't end up getting made. And that to me is like the craziest Hollywood thing that always happens. It's like
Yes.
we made this choice. It was this or this. This one didn't get made. They will never go back and say, then we can make that one.
No, it's wild.
It's so crazy to me. So the show didn't get picked up. Also, my first day of shooting, I get a call. I got fired off the cruise ship because when I called my producer to ask for permission to go and he gave it to me, another producer who was not involved in the project was offended that I hadn't asked her,
Ugh.
even though she wasn't I called my boss. She wasn't my boss. I guess she was like his boss kind of, but not even really. And so she fired me off a job she
Didn't
didn't
even
hire me for.
Yes, thank you again.
And so it was like I got the full taste of Hollywood.
That's what I was just
in one
gonna say.
experience.
Exactly. You are getting the picture of how ego, more than anything, can play its part in such a it is an overused word, but it's right, like, toxic way that is such bullshit.
Mhm.
And also, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I now am not working on that cruise ship anymore. The pilot's not going. So then are you back in LA or are you in Chicago?
I stayed in LA for a while. I did the rest of pilot season. So I
Okay.
did
Back
like
when
my
there
first
was
pilot
one. Remember
season.
that?
Yeah, I think I did the last pilot season,
Oh,
honestly.
wow. Oh,
They
wow.
shut it down
Out
after
with a
me.
bang. So then What is your sort of next step up or your next break? Is it Full Frontal with Samantha
Yeah.
Bee?
Yeah. So I had gone back to Chicago for a while and I was teaching and writing. I got into this thing where I was like, I'm going to write a sketch every day because I didn't know anyone. I had no connections.
Yep.
Like the reason I booked that pilot off a tape was literally because they had auditioned every girl in the world, probably a lot of them actual teenagers. They reached and they only wanted to hire, and this was the time of ethnically ambiguous. I don't
Okay.
know if you remember this, but I'm
Sure.
not ethnically ambiguous.
No.
So every part for women, it was all they wanted ethnically ambiguous, mixed race girls, Latinas who are, could be something else. That's
Yes.
what they were always looking for. I don't fit into that. So for this particular part, when ethnically ambiguous was a thing, most parts were ethnically ambiguous, and then the other ones would be Black or Asian.
Sure. Sure. Take your pick.
Either one.
It doesn't
They're the
matter.
same
Pretty cool. Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly. Oh
So
my
they had
God.
auditioned every Black and Asian funny girl in town.
Sure.
Got to such the end of the rope that they got out to my agent in Chicago to audition a 28-year-old, who was on a boat. So I had to do it on tape, So that was how I got that opportunity.
But
But
again, and got the job.
yeah,
Like that's what's also because as you lay it out like that, the statistics of that are also why being an actor is it's like you truly never know.
yeah. And by the way, that never happens. And I'm
No,
so glad that you
but it
pointed
did.
that out because I was accidentally going to do the thing I hate where like on podcasts people say like, oh, Steven Spielberg just hung around the lot until they gave him a job, and then some poor person is like hanging around the lot, like no,
Totally.
that
Like,
was
no, that's not how it works.
yeah, that never happens, and it only happened because they had gotten far down this
And because
list.
you're really good.
Yeah.
But also, I'm serious. I'm like, it also is, it's a crapshoot. Like
Yeah.
there is a you never know aspect. And that's where, yes, I mean, you've heard so many stories over the years of like, I mean, very famously, he named his company this, but Dwayne The Rock Johnson had $7
Hmm.
in his pocket when he was like, I'm just going to try one more time. Right. And then rolls the dice and it hits. So that happens a lot. But the tenacity and the not giving up, but also talent, it's all in the mix.
Um, so I had gone back to Chicago and I was like teaching and writing a sketch every day and shooting like some commercials because that's what work is available in Chicago.
Yeah.
And just like every month, I made exactly enough money to be alive. Like I made exactly
And
enough money
not
to like,
one
and not
penny
a
more.
penny more. If
Nope.
anything happened, if I had to fix something or replace something, I'm
We're
done.
done. Done. Yes.
So finally my dad calls me and on his birthday and is like, why don't you
Mm.
move back home? Like, who moves from LA to Chicago to be an actor? The thing you want to do is here. Like, just come back home. And it's hard to like move back home when you're an adult. I took great pride in the fact that by the skin of my teeth, I was one
Yep.
month at a time,
That's right.
supporting
Not
myself.
asking for anything. Yes.
Yeah,
Totally.
and a little bit easier in Chicago than here, obviously, because
For sure.
rent is cheaper there. But he was like, just come home. And so I did.
And
Um,
were you living in your childhood bedroom?
no, because my brother was living in my childhood bedroom. So we were like, at one point I lived in my brother's bedroom on the couch. Like we were just like Russian rouletting the
Yes.
2 bedrooms in the house between 3 kids because my youngest brother's 11 years younger than me. So when I
That's
moved
right.
out,
Yep.
he was a baby when I moved out. So he took that room and I had been gone the whole time. Like,
Totally.
which is how he ended up reading all the Interview with the Vampire books.
Listen, he's got great taste, and this is what older sisters are for.
Yes.
I love it.
My brothers all the time, they're like, we learned about Green Day, Interview with the all the things that I like left in the house for them.
Totally. I love that.
So I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anybody. And like that first gig had happened like on a fluke. And so I came back to LA and my Chicago agent was able to get me some auditions, but like I'm a quirky girl and they don't really write parts for Black quirky girls.
Yeah.
And so I was auditioning and like always getting laughs and like always feeling good about my auditions, but not getting cast. And there's this one casting director who would bring me in, and this is when you used to get brought in
Yep.
to an actual room,
Oh, yeah.
who kept bringing me in on these like 3 shows that she cast. She'd bring me in all the time. And I would be in the room sitting with all of these women who were like, like one was a nurse,
Yep.
and I'll never forget this. Every other woman was literally wearing a nurse's uniform. Some of them were actual nurses.
Yep.
And here I come. I'm literally wearing like a pink polka dot dress. And I go in, I do it, and she's like, great. And I was like, you know what? I have to ask, like, you keep bringing me in and I'm not booking these gigs. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And she's like, you are very funny. And the producers have an idea of what they want, which is what they've seen and what they're used to, which is like the standard, what a nurse looks like in their minds. And that's what they want. And so I'm going to give them that, but I'm also going to continue to put you in front of their faces until they realize that maybe funny is better than the standard what you want thing.
I love whoever this casting director is.
Yeah.
And did that put so much wind in your sails of confidence of like, okay, it's not just about am I booking the gig, but it is just continuing to like fortify the relationships and just you're doing a great job every time she brings you in. That makes her look good even if you don't get cast, right? And so you're reliable in that way.
Like, and you have to find the right thing that is not
Exactly.
like, because I think when you're in school and you're training, and like I say this all the time, most actors, and maybe this is a generational thing. I don't, maybe the generation under me is like a little different, but
Yeah.
we're trained. We went to school to do this. Had a
Right.
high school, college, and second city / grad school.
Yes.
Most actors can do anything.
Yes, it's correct.
I did Shakespeare. I can do anything.
Yes.
But Hollywood just asks you to do the one thing. And then it's like, you don't visually fit this. So we're never going to ask you to do
Yeah, we just
this.
don't see it.
And so I think as an actor, you're auditioning and thinking, oh, I'm doing a bad job because I'm not getting the gig, because I can be a sad mom whose kids are going off to college, and I can be a weird clown, and I can be a quirky best friend. And if I'm not booking any of these, then I must be doing a bad job.
Yeah.
And that her telling me that taught me it's like, oh, there's an element of this that is so far outside of your control that it doesn't
Yes.
mean you're doing a bad job. So like, go in, do the best job you can. Maybe they'll remember you. And I would kind of often book parts that were written for a white man
Mhm.
because those are the fun, quirky parts.
Yeah, and you can hit that audition really out of the park and do your thing with it rather than something that is very straightforward.
Yeah.
And yes, totally.
And if you don't fit the look, then
Yep.
there's no point in casting me in that straightforward part, 'cause it's like, oh, the look's a little off, and
Yeah.
anyone could do this in a straightforward way. So we're gonna pick the person who has the exact look we were looking for.
Yep.
Versus like, I'm a weirdo, and like those parts just like weren't existing. So while I'm doing that, I'm also writing all the time.
Did the writing come almost out of necessity? And so you were then finding a balance?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay,
So
got it.
I was an actor. I had been an actor literally my entire life.
Yeah.
And at Second City, they don't have writers. The actors write the show. So
Right.
that was how I started writing, only because literally my parents bought me classes at Second City. I thought it was like an acting class. I showed up and they were like, oh, you have to write the script.
You're like, right. I knew that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
truly.
right on it.
So I was doing it out of necessity. And then very quickly, I had really great teachers who kindly just like identified for me, you are good at this.
I was just going to say, because that's what's not breaking my brain, because we've known each other a long time. We've worked together. We'll get to that. But like, you are such a talented actor, but you are such a talented writer. So the fact that that came almost out of necessity is a little bit breaking my brain, because you also have such an incredible voice.
Yeah, and to me, I didn't now mind you, I'm coming out of a PhD program. So it's
Right.
like, write a 5-page sketch. This is the easiest thing I've ever done.
Literally.
And my voice was then appreciated versus when you're doing these academic things, like I think I was seen as like unserious, even
Right.
though intellectually I was doing the thing. But
But with some humor, and
yes.
that's like undercutting it, not in a positive way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are writing.
Because that is something that's in my control, right?
Exactly.
Like no one, would always say, like, no one has to invite you to write. Like you could
Yeah.
sit down at any time. Your barrier to entry is buying a laptop and you can be a writer. Versus an actor, you're constantly begging to be invited to a party
Yes.
and usually not getting the invite.
And then sometimes when you do get the invite, it can go any which way. Or, I mean, and we'll get to this, but what I think the strikes revealed is just also what the behind the scenes of being an actor
Mhm.
is financially,
Yeah.
among many things. So it's also like, I'm an actor now. I got a job. Cool. I still can't pay my rent.
Yeah.
I still can't do this or that. So,
And even if everything goes perfectly,
mhm.
you get an acting job. Let's just say you're number one on the call sheet. You are making a lot of money. Never happens anymore. But
Mhm.
let's just say it goes perfectly. You know what? The first thing someone does after you get an acting job? Measures your body.
That feels good.
It's
That
like,
doesn't do anything to get you in your head or make you self-conscious or fuck with
it's
you
like,
in any way, right?
how can this be a job? This can't be a job. Like, it's the weirdest thing to ask a human to do. And then we're like,
It's
they're all
so
crazy.
true.
They're hungry.
Right.
And someone measured their body the first day they got here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the true sense of the word measure, which is a comparison and is a way to make you feel less than.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So no wonder everyone's hanging on by a thread.
So I was really lucky to have accidentally started writing and to have had people identify to me that I was good at it and I should stick with it. So I was auditioning, but at the same time, like a lot of people coming out of like Second City, IO, UCB end up on like SNL and the late night shows.
Improv Olympic.
Yeah. And so I knew that that was like an entry
Yeah.
into the business. But I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anyone.
And you still only have your Chicago agent. You don't have representation in
No,
LA.
no.
Okay.
Which thank you for asking. I will tell you how that happened.
We will get to
We're
that.
getting into the nitty.
I
and
love
the
it.
gritty.
This is why I was so excited when you agreed to come
By the way,
on.
this is the shit I would have killed to have known at this exact time in my life when I'm like,
Yes.
I know I'm a good writer. I've been told that by like some incredible producers who have worked with Tina Fey and all
Yes.
these incredible people. But I have there's no
Like, and then
step
what?
from here to
Yeah,
there.
what's the
You know what
access
I
point?
mean?
Totally.
And like me and my best friend Chelsea, we would read
Mhm.
like every comedy woman memoir that came out, we would read and like look for the blueprint. And every single one of them, how dare you, now that I know all of these ladies, it would be like, and then I started the Second City. You turn the page, and it's like, I'm on stage at SNL. And it's like, something happened between there. Tell me what it was.
What is it? You're like, okay, this book is missing some pages. I'm gonna go back to the bookstore and get more. It's so true. I'm so glad you're highlighting this. Go on.
So
So what are the pages that are missing in that book? And I know Chelsea wrote an incredible book.
Yes.
You have to write your book. Go on.
yes, please go read Chelsea's book, listen to her podcast. She is demystifying it all for
The
you.
best. She's the best.
So Celebrity Book Club. Got
Yes,
it.
yes, exactly. Chelsea DeMontis,
Besties
Celebrity Book
Pod.
Club. Yes, love it.
So that was when Colbert's late night show started.
Okay, got it.
And so they're announcing the writers, and it was like kind of a kerfuffle because I think that it was 100% white writers, or maybe this was years ago. If I'm remembering it incorrectly, I apologize.
Yeah.
But it was like all white writers and 2 women on a staff of like 10 or whatever it was. So of course this becomes a thing on Twitter. Do you remember it? It used to be a thing of people being
Yeah.
unhappy about this result. And this was back in the days where I still had a Facebook account. So I'm like showing my age so badly on this. And so we're, it's this conversation is happening on Facebook about this hiring process or whatever. And I was like, it's a bummer because I am actually the person who is exactly trained to do that job. And in fact, many of the Colbert writers are friends of mine who I came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And someone replied like, they got the job and you didn't. That just means they're better than you. Like, get over it. And I'm like, no, it doesn't, because I didn't have the chance to apply.
Yep.
So had we both applied and they got the job, great, they're better than me.
God bless.
Happy. But you can't say that because I
Yeah.
didn't get the chance to apply because I don't have connections. I don't know how you get these packets. Like, I don't know how you do anything. So that conversation happens online. A little while later, a friend of mine sends me a message and he's like, hey, I got this packet for this new show that Sam B is doing. You said if you had the chance to apply, you could do it. Put your money where your mouth is. I think it would be perfect for you. He sent me the packet.
Oh.
I don't think you were even supposed to do that at that time. This process has since been changed by the WGA, but at the
Yes.
time, it's like agents get these packets, they give them to their clients. It's this big secret thing. No one wants to share it with each other because they don't want you to
It's
get the
so
job and not
competitive.
them. It's so competitive.
Yes.
And so I couldn't get my hands on any of these packets that are flying around.
Yeah.
So I got this one.
And it's like, does it feel like the golden ticket in that moment?
Yeah. And because it wasn't sent to me, I got it super late.
Yeah.
I had 2 days to complete it. This is where having written a sketch a day, and that's why I was doing it, because I was like, when this opportunity comes, I
Use that
want
muscle.
to be able to do this. So I
Totally.
had 2 days to write. My packet was 25 pages.
Oh my God.
So I literally wrote for like 48 straight hours, me and Chelsea, like Google messaging each other while we're writing in Google Docs, wrote 25 pages in 2 days, sent it off, got a call back. And I will never forget because like the first sentence of the email is like, you are getting this email because you made Samantha Bee laugh. And I was just
Oh,
like,
oh.
oh my God, what is happening? This can't be real.
Talk about like core memory that you can probably picture what you were wearing, where you were sitting when you read that
Yes.
sentence.
So then we did like a second packet for a callback, and then they did like a Skype call, which
Yep.
I thought was like a job interview. And so again, I'm like, perfect girl, wearing my thing all set up.
Yep.
My parents' house has this like floating wall that's like open on either side. So I'm like doing this like Zoom meeting here, and my dad and my brother are standing just on the other side of the wall listening to everything. And so I thought it was a job interview, and I'm like answering the questions perfectly.
Mhm.
And then Joe goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't a job interview. You have the job. We're just meeting you." And I immediately like start to sob, and I'm like holding it in. And they're like, "Do you have any questions?" I'm like, "No, I have to get off before I cry." They're like, "Okay, bye." And I like closed it, and like the piano in my parents' house is right beside. My dad goes and starts like playing shout music on the piano. My dad and my brother are like dancing around because they heard that I got the job.
Oh,
And it
I
was
love this.
like this perfect moment of like the packets are read blind.
Yeah.
You just sent it off. I only got it because someone snuck it to me. I didn't even know if they were going to read it, honestly, because I had cheated in
Yeah.
how I got it. I remember Chelsea and I being so excited because it was a Google Doc. You could tell that someone had at least opened it. Like
Yes.
that was my level of expectation.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
actually got the job. And it's like, I knew it. I knew that if I could just send it off blind
Yep.
without any of this,
Yep. Yep.
I knew I could do it. And
Oh,
what they had described, because the show didn't exist, of like what they wanted the show to be, I was like, oh, because it was so political. I had just come off of a PhD program. Like
yes.
the combination of like into the thing of timing of like, oh, I should have left school sooner. The job that was my correct, perfect first job didn't exist yet.
Yes. And it was waiting for you and you had to wait for it. And that, not in a woo-woo way, but it is really such a testament. And we'll get to some other incredible steps in your career that have felt like, at least from where I sit, perfect fits for you and such a showcase for your talent. But that specifically, like,
Well, to the
that
point
was a
where
special show.
Joe Miller, who ran that show, also a PhD dropout.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, again, so it's the 2 of you and no one else in Hollywood. That's amazing. And what Sam was doing on that show, I mean, that show was groundbreaking. I was looking for my Nasty Woman t-shirt today to maybe wear. Um, I will never forget your last episode when you come out and she's like, Ashley is leaving us. We're so excited for her. She has this amazing opportunity. And then she starts to cry. Like you could just, she's such a human.
Mhm.
I don't know her at all, but I'm like, couldn't be a bigger fan. And that show meant so, so much to me. So I remember when we met and you were on that show and I was like, tell me everything. Was it an incredible experience?
Yeah, well, at first I had to move to New York,
Right. That's a whole
and, like,
thing.
to the Rock thing, I had $700 in my bank account, and I
Yeah.
was like I literally, God bless our executive producer, Tony Hernandez, I was like, "You know how it takes, like, a long time to get your first paycheck on a I
Yes,
was like,
I do.
"I need money to
Yes.
live," and he, like, helped
He
me
advanced you.
out. Yes,
That's
because I was
great.
like, "I have to live in New York," and I came here with $700.
Yes.
And I really because at the Second City, obviously, I had been a writer, performer, like, everything that I wrote, I performed.
Yeah.
And so now I'm taking this job where I'm gonna write and Sam is gonna perform, and, in the newspaper the next day, they're gonna say, "Sam B said this funny joke," like, it's not gonna be me, like, is that something that I can handle?
Yeah.
And I went in there and I'm like, "I'm gonna be the best writer you've ever seen, I'm gonna learn her voice," and our voices were not so far apart.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, fully make it my life to make her show as good and as funny as possible. And I didn't know that when they hired me, Sam already wanted to put me on the show. And Joe, our showrunner, was like, the only person that they had seen do that was John Oliver. 3 months in, Sam offered me a role on the show. So again, to like the timing of it, it was my perfect job because I got introduced to this town as both
Yes.
instead of having to be the writer who's trying to act, which is like looked at as like a dirty thing.
Yep.
Everyone's first impression of me is this is a person who is a writer performer, which is like the biggest gift they could have given me.
So you get introduced to this town as a writer performer. You still are that, but the writing sometimes can take the front seat, the acting can take the front seat. I have so many friends in the same boat. It's hard to find that balance to be thought of in a certain way.
Really only takes this town 6 months to forget the last thing you did.
Good Lord.
And so we did Black Lady Sketch Show, which was incredible, like
I
such a
love that
great
show so much.
opportunity. Again, I both wrote and performed on it. So the people who weren't aware of me, who became aware of me, it was again in that context. And then, then COVID happened. We shot that show through COVID and then the strike. So it was just like this period of time where acting jobs were getting harder and harder to get because
Yeah.
they weren't producing TV shows. And in that same period of time, I was very lucky in that, again, because someone recommended me to Bill Lawrence, I started writing on Ted Lasso, and we wrote that through COVID. And
I remember you, because you and I were working together
mhm,
around that time, and I remember you talking about the Zoom writers room.
yeah,
Like, you guys had never met in person, I
yeah,
wanna say,
we met for the first time at the premiere.
and you were so bonded.
Yeah. So in that
Yes,
period, I wrote on Ted Lasso, I wrote on Bad Monkey, which I also acted on, and Shrinking,
my favorite.
and
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
all of those shows, I mean, God bless Bill
God
Lawrence
bless.
i- in my life, but all those shows were really big and it was like kind of a big deal to be writing on them. And so everyone put me in the writer thing in my
Yeah.
mind. And it was like, because you have now this value as a writer,
Yep.
then the other thing doesn't exist.
Yes.
And I think people now like don't even necessarily think of me as an actor or like for things that I would be perfect for. And there is, I think, interest in me like developing shows for myself, but in terms of just like auditioning,
Yeah.
and it actually meant a lot to me to hear like Tina and Amy were talking about this on her podcast, being like, I've never booked a role from auditioning. And I'm like, thank God, thank you so much for saying that
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
balm to your soul. Yes. It
crazy.
is crazy.
It's crazy that, like, once you're in that mode, it's like, "Oh, yeah, you can write yourself a show and you can star in it, but you can't do,
No.
like, 3 scenes on a sitcom."
Well, exactly. It is that it's a double-edged sword, right? You are, God bless Bill Lawrence, you're writing on these incredible
Mhm.
shows.
That is the, like, gift. Like, if nobody watched the show, to go to work every day and work with, like, good people who are nice to you and just, like,
Yes.
know that you're safe, I think that's where the best comedy comes from.
So you're writing on these shows. Bill knows how talented you are. So I imagine, are you writing these characters for yourself?
No,
Or
I would never do that.
say
So
more.
I like really work hard to be like, I agree to do this job. This is the job I'm doing and stay in my lane. I have done both jobs on most of the shows that I've worked on. And
Yep.
that's how I was trained coming out of Second City.
Yeah.
But it can be weird for other people. Like literally Monday, you're in the makeup trailer, someone's doing your makeup, and then Tuesday you're in there being like, guys, we have to shoot. Let's go get her out of the chair. Like that's a weird transition for people.
Yes.
So I am extra, extra cautious more than I need to be.
Yeah.
And I try to communicate really, really clearly, even if it's not explicitly but implicitly what role I'm playing and try to make it comfortable for everybody
You're
else.
so good. Oh my God.
Well,
This
even to the point where when I started working for Robin, because I knew that I was going to be on the show when we started writing Black Lady Sketch
Yep.
Show, and I, coming out of my experience at Full Frontal, would like go out of my way to make sure that like everybody was getting the same amount of jokes, very good jokes, like
Yes.
that it wouldn't feel as though because I was the only correspondent who was a writer that I got all the best lines. Like I really went out of my way to make that not the case.
Yes.
And so on Black Lady Sketch Show, I was doing the same thing. And Robin is like looking at my script. She's like, stop it. Write a sketch for yourself to star in. It doesn't have to be like, what are you doing? This is stupid. Like,
That's amazing.
yeah.
That's, I mean, Robin Thede, the great Robin Thede, who created a Black Lady sketch show. And then how did that, because I actually meant to touch upon this, so I'm glad we came back to it. I loved that show so much, so much. How did you get to that job?
So I had, when I lived in New York, I used to throw these parties and I would invite like a category of people. So like all women comedy writers or all, whatever. And so I had thrown a party of like all Black women writing in New York. And that was how I met Robin.
Okay.
And so we became friends. And then Robin, I have come to learn, it means what she says. She calls me one day and she goes, I'm selling a show to HBO and you're going to be on it. And I was like, LOL. Okay.
Right.
And then she did
Keep me
that.
posted.
Yeah, she did that. So I was like in her
Amazing.
pitch deck or whatever. Yeah, so that was how I got on
Okay.
the show.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. So then you're on the show and Robin is like, no, no, write for yourself.
hmm
Let's showcase that more.
I wrote and acted on the first 2 seasons,
Yep.
and then I can't remember if it was going into the second or third season, maybe third. Um, we got shut down
Yep.
because of COVID, and during the shutdown was when I wrote on Ted Lasso, and we started working together.
Yes.
And I was writing on Amber Ruffin's show in New York, so I'd get up in the morning
Oh my
because
gosh.
that show was in New York, write my piece for the Amber Ruffin show, and then do the Zoom room of Ted Lasso, and then like write that movie in the evening. Where is that brain?
I mean, one of the many things that I really admire about you is your ability to not just juggle so much, but be really responsible while doing it. There's,
Thank
when
you,
you
because that's really hard. I always feel like I'm failing.
no,
When it's a lot, it always feels like you're
oh, I
failing.
feel you. Always, always. But it was such a great experience working with you. You were the first person I thought of when I was hired to run this company that was focused on female driven comedy. And I was like, you know who I've always wanted to work with? And I truly at that point was like, I'm not sure where you are right now. And well, at that point, you had Murky, right? She
Mhm.
was okay. The great Lisa Murky is your
Yeah.
manager, and you were with UTA. So,
Mhm.
like, you are working and repped and all of it. So, I think I reached out to you directly, but then was talking to your reps. So, you have Amber Ruffin, Ted Lasso, our movie, and this is one of the first screenplays you've ever
The
written,
first.
right? So,
Yeah.
this is the first screenplay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is not an easy lift.
No, well, by the way, you taught me how to write a movie because
I mean,
I
of
had written so much television and it just is so I was like, I'm a writer, I can do this.
course.
But it just is so different. And I always think of, and now I like tell other writers like the difference between writing TV and movie that I learned from you, which is like on Shrinking, if the characters are like, we're gonna go to the mall, you just cut to the mall. Maybe you see another scene in between, but we're going to the mall. And then the next time we see these characters, they're at the mall. And so that was my movie was like way too short. And you were like, but when did they drive to the mall? Like
Right.
they have to drive to the mall and we have to see them do it. And things should be happening in the car. And just like that was so alien to me as like a half-hour writer because it's like, I only have a half hour to tell this story.
Right.
Why would I watch characters sit in a
That's not
car?
efficient.
Yeah.
I felt this way when I was learning how to produce television. I knew pretty much, and then there were certain things where I was like, "What's a story area?" But you only have to tell me once.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, that's the, like, you have to have the talent and the tenacity, but also be able to take the feedback and, "Okay, great. I've incorporated that. Onward." And you were so great at that, and that movie is amazing. It was a movie that was inspired by real life for you to some degree, and it's called The Inheritance. And we developed it, and then I had to step off it when I was going to Miramax. And it is now, as so many features are, just in a little bit of a standstill.
Yeah.
But will you talk about the inspiration for that and how it came to be?
Yeah. So my sister is 11 years older than me. So if you're keeping track through the
Yes.
podcast, I have a brother who's 11 years younger
Yep.
and a sister who's 11 years older. So they are 22 years apart. And we have another brother in the middle there who's the one that I like really grew up with, who's closer in age to me. And my sister, I don't say half sister because I whole love her.
Yes.
But
I
she's
love
my
that.
sister from my dad's first marriage. And so it's a really particular relationship where we have the sibling bond that I have with my brothers, but we didn't grow up in the same house. So you just know each other differently.
Yeah.
And that was a relationship that I hadn't seen in a movie.
Yep.
And so I wanted to do a movie about two sisters who like have that sister bond, but they do still need to get to know each other. And luckily for me, that was actually not my experience with my sister because being the oldest, she made it a point to always bring us in
Yeah.
and know us. And she could have taken the tact of like, oh, my dad left me to go make your family and I don't like you, which would have been a perfectly fine thing for a teenager to feel.
For
But
sure.
she didn't. She like really always made sure that we felt like family, like in the best way.
Yeah.
But health doesn't make for good movies. So
No, it
instead of
does not.
that,
Exactly.
it's
So
about two sisters who their father dies, and they're told that the only way for them to collect their inheritance from him is that they have to go on a road trip together. And during that trip, that's how they actually get to know each other and like become sisters.
I remember we were on the phone and you had a couple of different areas that you were wanting to explore, and that was one. And I was like, Midnight Run is one of my favorite movies of all time. If we can, like a road trip movie, they are hard to do, but the juxtaposition of opposites
Hmm.
in a car for a long period of time and what that can be is a really clean, really commercial idea. And then knowing you were going to write it, I was so excited because not just your character specificity and your supporting characters are also fucking hilarious and so good. It's was no surprise to me that as we started putting it together, that you were able to attract Gabrielle Union and Natasha Rothwell, who are such incredible actors, because these characters are so well defined, but you've infused so much heart into it, and it's super funny. It's just
Well,
my
and
favorite thing.
like in my mind, it wasn't, I was picturing like a indie movie,
Yeah.
and you were like, this is a very commercial movie. And I remember you said it was like City Mouse, Country Mouse, and
Yeah.
like helping me be define, because I think my like flaw as a writer is it's sometimes too complicated, and it's so great when a producer just helps you go like right now I'm working with Aline Brosh McKenna, and she
The
just
best.
takes like all the and is like, nope, it's just this, and like being like it's City Mouse, Country Mouse,
Yep.
but you like helping me define it and make it commercial was like such a good lesson for me as a writer. And also just thank you for saying the thing about the side characters, because like
Oh,
one, as an actor, I think I just write differently than other writers. So I'm like, I only want to write parts that people want to play. Even if you're the
sure.
waiter who's coming by or the villain or whatever, you should still have like a clear intention and one joke,
Yes.
and that's kind of sometimes a bummer about writing television, is that just with how the process is and how fast the process is, you don't always get to do that, or that stuff gets cut a lot of the time. And I part of like what excites me about movies is like being able to actually do that. Like, and what did I watch the other day? This is 40. I like randomly went back
Mm.
and watched This is 40, and Melissa McCarthy has
Oh my
two
God.
scenes in that movie, and they're incredible.
Lights out.
And like, what does it serve the movie if that had been like, oh, we're just going to do the standard mom, and we're just going to cast the standard mom, and we're not going to
Yeah.
give her any jokes because she's not the lead of the thing? Does that make the movie better? No.
No, of course. I mean, and that's what Judd is so good at
Yeah.
always. But this is a really good segue, actually, to shrinking. My best friend Amy was like, I'm just really confused. Why are you not watching this show yet? Like, I've only mentioned it 27 million times. This show and the leads are incredible. Like, no shit. Harrison Ford's
Yeah.
amazing. Big surprise. Jason Segel will break your heart and make you laugh. And incredible. Jessica Williams, what Jessica Williams is doing on this show. Holy shit. I could go on and on. The supporting characters on that show, because it is very ensemble-y, even though, of course, the Harrison and Jason
Mhm.
are, on the poster. I just want to say, for anyone who has not watched this show, run, don't walk. But also, I want to say a little shout out to anyone who also loved How I Met Your Mother.
Mhm.
Just a real quick thing. I don't think it's not spoiling anything to
No, that
say that
episode's out.
right,
Yeah.
that's out. Okay. To say that Kobe Smulders is a guest star on this in a way that is like that is a hard episode to write. They are throwing Alice's birthday, Jimmy's getting her the car. Okay. There's a lot that's happening in
Also,
your
Jessica's
episode.
breaking her mom's heart, and
Heart
it's like it's a lot of different tones.
is my favorite episode. What happens between, and again, for How I Met Your Mother stands, it is a delight to see Marshall and Robin, but not in a way that you've ever seen them
Mhm.
before. It is such a special thing when incredible writing and incredible actors come together, and then it elevates even beyond. And there is a way that Jason Segel laughs in that scene at one point that we haven't seen Jimmy laugh like that
Yeah.
at all. And you gave him this moment. Oh my
See,
God, I
this
might
is
start
why I
crying.
love you, because I fought for that laugh. You know they cut it.
Oh,
I fought for it.
and thank God you did. And then when he's talking about Tia, his wife, and then he says, sometimes it feels like moving on is impossible. And she says, well, don't say
That's
impossible.
impossible.
And then he gives her a look and she gives a look and she's kind of looking off and like, I mean, I've just watched it so many times because it's
Yeah.
perfect in every way. God bless you, Ashley Nicole Black, for writing this scene and for what they did with it. And this show is just so special. I have to go back to Jessica Williams for one quick sec, too. What she is doing on this show is like on another level.
Yeah.
She's always good. Like, again, the casting, Bill Lawrence always gets it right.
hmm
That's the other thing. Oh my God, Krista Miller, like everyone. And the actress who plays Alice, who will just break your heart.
Yeah. They're all so good. Luke and Lukita are like young ones, and they're such good actors. It's just a joy to watch people be this good. And as much as I'm like, I'm an actor, there's no better feeling in the world than writing a line, knowing it's going to get fucking nailed,
Yep.
and watching it get elevated
Yes.
to something you couldn't have even. It's the best feeling.
It's like why we do this, right?
Yeah.
It's art.
And on that show, you get to have that every single time you
That's
walk
what I
on
was gonna
set.
say. Every episode. I
Yeah.
mean, it's incredible. And so you are playing Nikki.
It was Bill's idea, which says a lot about our relationship, that he was like, I have an idea for a character who yells at her boss a lot. We're going to cast Ashley.
I don't know where to find this person.
Perhaps in the room I'm in.
You guys just wrapped season 3.
Like, obviously, I can't say much about season 3, but it was
Yes.
like,
No, don't tell me
there were
anything.
some
Tell me everything.
experiences of a lifetime that happened. And when people see them, they'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Right.
First of all, the writer's room, like just the best people to spend your time with. And
Yeah.
the show is quite dramatic at times. So we do have to talk. And by the way, we were writing season 2 when my dad died.
Mhm.
So like literally, I remember like sobbing, pitching something for Alice about her dead mom,
Yep.
months after my dad died. And we're in the writer's room. And like, it's a room where you can safely do that, which is the best. And on top of that, they are the smartest, funniest people
Totally.
in the world. I was like going on a bunch of first dates and I telling a friend like it's not going well. And he's like, well, what are you doing? I go, well, I usually go to like the bar near the lot after work. And he's like, so you're telling me you sit in a room with the funniest, smartest people on the planet for 8-9 hours, and then you expect some poor man to engage you?
Are you like, okay, I see your point, but it's so true. My friend Rechna's in that.
Mhm.
She's the best. So you're having this sort of full spectrum of a human experience.
And then to have a cast that can do that. A lot of the time you're like, oh, we're writing to this actor's wheelhouse, which is
Yeah.
great. Everyone on this cast, the whole world is the wheelhouse.
It's
Ted
wild. Ted
McGinley?
McGinley. I was just gonna say, we did not talk about Ted McGinley.
Playing the drama of that.
Derek. We all love Derek so much. What he did, because I am old enough, like he's Revenge of the Nerds to me,
Mhm.
right? I remember he is incredible what he's doing.
Yeah.
Everyone is.
Yeah.
Everyone. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Yeah. And they're nice on top of it. It's
What?
insane.
What? No, I'm kidding. Okay, you have been so generous with your time. So I want to get to the last chunk of what we do here at General Meeting with Becky Sloviter called Last Looks, which is a bit of a celebration and appreciation of pop culture and under the umbrella of times are the fucking worst, call it what you will, and the art in the world is here to save us. So like recommendations, stuff you love. I was laughing thinking about I remember listening to you on Brett Goldstein's podcast. Oh my God. Wait. We didn't talk about Brett on as Lewis. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't make that an
Talk
entire other
about him
podcast.
do
I'm gonna
anything.
make him come on this podcast and we're gonna talk about unrecognizable Roy Kent who
Yeah.
and how the season ends.
And
I
again,
was-
you're like, I know this person is good. Also, Jason at the end of that season, like
I can't.
you're like, I know they're good. I know it's going to be good. And then it's like, oh, that was incredible.
This is the other thing I want to say. A shout out to you and all of the writers. It is, I would say, really hard. I've been working in this business for 23 years. We'll watch things and I'm like ahead of the story a lot of the time. I am never ahead of it on Shrinking. And I really, and I'm not going to give anything away, but how that season ends I really didn't see coming even as it was about to happen. I actually thought it was going the other way,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Well, yeah, that's what's gonna happen." But no, it's
Like,
really hard
you
to do
in
that.
order to not see where the story's we have
Yeah.
to throw out so many stories to, like,
Yes.
get to that one, and
Totally.
God bless our cast.
Totally.
They get in those scripts minutes before at times
And this
and
is
knocking
why
it out of the
being an
park.
actor is so hard, and also you rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I remember listening to you on Brett Goldstein's podcast, and I want to say, so I'm curious if this is gonna be your answer to the first question on Last Looks. What is your favorite movie of all time?
And I don't remember what I said,
Oh, you don't?
so I don't
Okay, we'll
remember
see.
what I had for
Right.
breakfast. Um, so my favorite movies are Scream and My Best Friend's
My
Wedding.
best friend's wedding
Yeah.
is what you were talking to him about. Okay, that's a great pairing. They came out around the same
Yeah.
time? Is that part of why? Like, were you at that age? Because you're quite young at that point, but are you at an age where you're, like, just becoming more and more aware of movies?
Yeah, I was the right age for sure. I, at that age, thought that I was gonna be, like, a great dramatic actor, so I don't even know that it was that comedy, but I think, like, their Scream, I love Kevin's writing, and, like, now I can say that
Yeah.
I'm a friend of his, which, like, freaks
What?
me out.
What?
I don't know how it happened. I'm waiting for it to not be happening anymore. He's incredible. But I loved Dawson's Creek. I love Scream, and I think, like, he has this writing style that's, like, so fast and articulate, and it kind of matched the speed of my brain, and, the characters were so not standard,
Yeah.
and so
It
I
really was doing something very different
yes.
when it came out,
And so I
for sure.
think that just, like, drew me and then My Best Friend's Wedding, I think I just had this, like, again, chubby Black girl in Los Angeles. I just had this connection to Julia Roberts.
Julia was everything
Yeah,
to us.
yeah,
Everything.
yeah, and,
It's
like, I
amazing.
think some of the other girls are maybe more girly, and I was never, like, a
Yeah.
girly girl. Obviously, Julia Roberts is the most beautiful person
She's
on the
so
planet.
beautiful, but she's also, like, cool and seems like a person.
Yeah, and she's, like, in menswear,
Yes.
and she's, like, the fucked up weird one,
Yeah.
and she's too old because she's 28, and all those things made sense to us at the time.
You guys, I cannot. What were we doing to women in the 90s? Go on. That's amazing. Okay. And anyone go back and find Ashley's episode of Brett Goldstein's amazing podcast that is a much deeper dive into that and is such a great celebration of that movie. They're making a new one, right?
Yeah.
Because one of my best friends from high school, CG, texted me and was like, "They're making a new one." There's a feeling I have where I'm like, everyone's out of ideas and we can only do titles, and like that kills my soul a
Yeah.
little bit. And also, okay, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's like the good ones, you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'll take another,"
Yeah.
but also, we could also make a
Could
new
we have
movie
some
about
original
yeah.
shit? I was talking to Jillian Bell about this because we were talking about lack of originality, but also not giving the audience enough credit.
Yes.
And that, yeah.
And then, like, my
Thing.
bugaboo is, like, when you hear that getting talked about, it's always like, "These writers don't have any new ideas. These writers just keep writing that." I promise you, every working writer, aspiring writer, retired writer in
Yes.
this town is begging
Yes.
to make original ideas. And, like,
Yes.
creative. Okay, coming out of being a TV writer, I know how to write on a budget, honey. They
Mhm.
won't do it.
No. Okay. Albums. You are stranded on a deserted island. What two albums do you have with you to maintain your sanity until you are rescued?
So, in my opinion, there are 3
Yes.
perfect albums. Perfect, no skips albums. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill,
Yes.
Butterfly by Mariah Carey,
Yes.
Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh, wow. Okay. The miseducation of Lauryn Hill, because I am a woman of a certain age also, is like defining.
Perfect record.
It really is. Oh, the first mix I ever made for Matt, I put To Zion on that. I
Aw.
mean, and I don't, just, my God, the line, and then she's saying it about her son, but that line, I've never been in love like this before.
Mhm.
Chills. Okay. Great choices. Um, Books. Either your favorite book of all time or a book you've read lately that is really staying with you and you'd want to recommend.
A book I read lately is called On Earth as It Is in Television. It's very of the current moment. But it's very funny. Aliens come to Earth, and yet it will tell you so much about real life that we live in. And it's just like it's a quick, fun,
I
funny
can't wait to read
read.
this.
But yeah,
Yes. Okay, great. I'm putting stuff on my Instagram of whatever the guests' last looks were. So we will get the author's name in there. Okay, and finally, TV, which is hard. This is a hard question, I know, but what are you watching either in all of your free fucking time? But like, what are you watching? And it doesn't have to be current. It can be, I'm just saw Breaking Bad for the first time or whatever it is, but just that you have loved and would recommend.
yeah, and it's never current. Like I've never been able to currently watch a TV. I haven't been able to currently watch TV shows since I worked in television.
Totally.
But I actually have watched a new show. So the two shows that I'm like have most obsessed me recently, total opposite ends of the spectrum, is Adolescence and Leanne.
Are there two, first of all, God bless Netflix on both. Are there two shows that are more different?
No.
No, there's not. But
No.
this is what I love. This is what I love about you specifically. We contain multitudes.
But and
Say
also
more.
to what we're talking about, these are both shows that were made on a budget.
Yes.
You know, not a lot of money was spent, not a lot of stars were hired, a world was created. So Adolescence is like one, it just is a good show. The acting is incredible.
It's a master class in acting.
Yes, and I feel like we're not even, as much as we talked about it, we're not even talking enough about the fact that like given the one shot constraint, do you
It
remember?
is one shot.
one shot.
The entire episode. There's 4 episodes. Each one is one shot.
So people are talking about that technically,
Understand
like the
that.
directors, the cameras, blah, blah, blah. The actors.
Yes.
Do you remember that scene? There's like there's a teenage girl who she has this really emotional scene about something that's happened to her friend. That's about 15 minutes into the episode. That means that young girl, who is an actual, if not teenager,
Yes.
a very young
Wait, yeah.
person,
Because this is episode 2 when they're at the school.
yes,
Yes.
had to stand still for 15 minutes, wait for a camera to get to her,
And get her cue.
and then
Yes.
produce this amazing emotional moment. Every single actor they cast, not just the main parts, the smallest parts,
Yes.
was able to do that.
Even if you watch Adolescence without knowing that, because I watched it the first time through, I didn't have any sense. I actually didn't know that these were one take episodes, which again, even as I say it, I'm like, it breaks your brain when you watch the technical difficulty of it. But yes, an appreciation of those actors, it's unbelievable. Just to stay on Adolescence for one quick sec, and then we'll talk about the brilliance of Leanne Morgan. The scene when they're driving to what would be the equivalent here of like the Home Depot or
Mhm.
Lowe's to get, to fix their van, we'll say. And the mother and father of the main boy in the car with the daughter, but also talking about when they met and high school and music. And it's astonishing.
Mhm.
That show it is required viewing, especially if you have children.
Yeah, it's
And then on to balance it out, Leanne.
Okay, so Leanne, again, these are both low budget shows. These are both shows that like created a whole world and lived in them really well.
Yeah.
Leanne's a multicam. Leanne Morgan's a stand-up who I wasn't aware of until very recently.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how to make television. Leanne has gone back to like a classic multicam, but it works. I wasn't aware of Leanne Morgan previously. I'm now obsessed with her. I've
Yeah.
watched her special.
Did you listen to her on Amy Poehler's podcast?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I think she's so
Dying.
funny.
Pure joy.
I could not be less related to a comedian, right? Like she's an older white lady. She's from the South. She's a mom. A lot of her comedy is about being a mom.
Yep.
I don't have any of those experiences. It's fucking funny.
Yes. Period. End of story.
If someone text me and says, "Oh my God, the show is so funny," that's it.
Yes.
That's why I'm watching it, because I want to
100%.
laugh.
We are in a word of mouth culture completely. I couldn't agree more. Why are you clicking something on, or why are you going to the theater to see something? Because you heard it's good.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for your time.
Thanks for having
This
me.
was so
was
delightful. I was
fun.
super excited because we've known each other a long time and I know a lot about you, but I was excited to do like the Ashley Nicole Black deep dive in a real way. And I feel like on some level we just scratched the surface, but this was delightful.
It was so fun.
And I'm so happy for all of your success. Thank you.
Thank you.
I keep saying I don't know how to end the podcast.
No one knows how to end anything.
Ready? General Meeting with Becky Sloviter is hosted and executive produced by me, Becky Sloviter. Our editor is Jay Rothman. Our audio engineer is Hector Fernandez. Our director of photography is Dylan Mortensen. Our tech producer is Griffin Davis. Our theme song is by Jay Rothman. Special thanks to Jocelyn Falk, Megan Monaco Gilwitt, and Haley Rosenthal. And most importantly, go Birds.